Hare Krishna. So we're reading from the sixth canto, chapter 4, text 45. Chapter entitled the Hamsa Guhya Prayers. Brahmā bhavo bhavantascha manavo vibhudeshvaraha vibhutayo mamahyeta bhutanam buddhihetavaha Brahmā bhavo bhavantascha manavo vibhudeshvaraha vibhutayo mamahyeta bhutanam buddhihetavaha Brahmā bhavo bhavantascha manavo vibhudeshvaraha vibhutayo mamahyeta bhutanam buddhihetavaha manavo vibhudeshvaraha vibhutayo mamahyeta bhutanam buddhihetavaha Brahmā bhavo bhavantascha manavo vibhudeshvaraha vibhutayo mamahyeta bhutanam buddhihetavaha Brahmā bhavo bhavantascha manavo vibhudeshvaraha vibhutayo mamahyeta bhutanam buddhihetavaha Vaishnavis. Brahmā bhavo bhavantascha manavo vibhudeshvaraha vibhutayo mamahyeta bhutanam buddhihetavaha Brahmā bhavo bhavantascha manavo vibhudeshvaraha vibhutayo mamahyeta bhutanam buddhihetavaha Brahma, Lord Brahma, Bhavaha, Lord Shiva, Bhavantaha, all you prajāpatis, Cha and Manavaha, the Manus, Vibhuta Ishvaraha, all the different demigods, such as the sun, the moon, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, who are all in charge of various activities for the welfare of the world. Vibhutayaha, expansions of my energy. Mama, my. He, indeed. Etaha, all these. Bhutanam, of all the living entities. Bhuti, of welfare. Hetavaha, causes. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the Manus, and all the other demigods in the higher planetary systems, and you prajāpatis who are increasing the population, are working for the benefit of all living entities. Thus, you expansions of my marginal energy are incarnations of my various qualities. Purport. There are various types of incarnations or expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The expansions of His personal self, or Vishnu Tattva, are called Swamsa expansions, whereas the living entities who are not Vishnu Tattva but Jiva Tattva are called Vibhinansa, separated expansions. Although Prajapati Daksha is not on the same level as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, he is compared to them because he engages in the service of the Lord, in the service of the personality of Godhead. It is not that Lord Brahma is considered very great, while an ordinary human being trying to preach the glories of the Lord is considered very low. There are no such distinctions. Regardless of whether materially high or materially low, anyone engaged in the service of the Lord is spiritually very dear to Him. And in this regard, Srila Madhvacharya gives this quotation from the Tantra Nirnaya. Visesha Vyakti Patratvat Brahmadyastu Vibhutayaha Tat Antaryaminas Chaiva Matsyadya Vibhavasmritaha. From Lord Brahma down, all the living entities engaged in the service of the Lord are extraordinary and are called Vibhuti. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 10:41, Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam shrimat urjitam eva va tat tat eva gachyatvam mamate yom sasambhavam. Know that all beautiful, glorious, and mighty creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. A living entity, especially empowered to act on behalf of the Lord, is called Vibhuti, whereas the Vishnu Tattva incarnations of the Lord, such as the Matsya Avatara, Keshavadrita Mina Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare, are called Vivav. Translation again. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the Manus, all the other demigods in the higher planetary systems, and you, prajāpatis, who are increasing the population, are working for the benefit of all living entities. Thus, you expansions of my marginal energy are incarnations of my various qualities. So, we are hearing in these verses Krishna's appreciation for his devotees. Prajapati Daksha had been performed austerities, and through his prayers and these Hamsaguhya prayers, he obtained the darshan of the Lord, and the Lord is responding to his devotional service. And in this verse, he's actually saying that, you know, there is no, those devotees, those expansions who are actually engaged in his service are his vibhutis, his potencies. So this whole section of the Bhagavatam, 6th canto actually, we've been hearing about also the reciprocation of the Lord to Ajamil. And now we're hearing the reciprocation of the Lord to Prajapati Daksha. And it is important to understand how the Lord reciprocates with the devotees, because when we understand it, then we will naturally want to surrender. We will develop our desire to surrender to Him. And then when we surrender to Krishna, then we can attain that happiness and that peace that we're searching for. So then the first question will be, is Krishna partial or is he impartial? Good. So the verse is there, Bhagavad Gita. Samoham sarvabhuteshu nameduesu stina priha ye vajanti tumam bhaktya majite tesu chapyaham. So he says, this was the first verse I learned in the Bhagavad Gita, actually. I remember when I first came to Krishna consciousness, I had this sense of injustice in the material world. I was very kind of frustrated with the universe. You know? It wasn't working according to my schemes. And I thought that, still to this day, I'm a little bit like this. But, so I remember I read that verse, I said, he's equal to everyone. Because actually the world is built on justice, This is the misconception, is to think that there is injustice. Yeah? There is no injustice because there is a controller. Krishna is the controller, and he is reciprocating with everyone equally. Samoham sarvabhuteshu. He is equal to everyone. I am not partial to anyone. I am equal to one. So these are the first two lines of the verse. Yeah? But the second, like you will say, the second two lines of the verse, he says, what is it? I just said the verse and I forgot it already. Yeva yanti tumam bhaktya majite teshu chapiham. That whoever renders service unto me is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. So, Baladev Vidyabhushana, he explains that actually the first two lines of the verse refers to the Paramatma, that Krishna is reciprocating with everyone equally. Just like the rain, the analogy that sometimes is given is like the rain. It's falling down everywhere equally, but some trees produce fruits that are sweet, and some trees produce fruits that are bitter. But it's the same rain. So similarly, Krishna as a super soul is reciprocating, is providing for everyone. But, Yetumam, he says, but he who renders service to me, then he becomes partial to that person. This is coming in the very essence of the Gita. I think this is actually the essence of the Gita. That Krishna actually becomes he is not aloof from his devotees. He becomes the devotee of his devotee. He becomes controlled by the love of his devotee. He is responsive. And this is what is being shown here. How the Lord is appreciating Daksha's devotional service. And like Prabhupada said, that you said, whenever we do some little service for Krishna, he says that Krishna has got a notebook and he writes it down. And he said that he will never forget it. He will never forget it. Krishna is responsive. And there is a famous quote which I got this year, which I would like to read literally actually, where Krishna says, this is in connection with the verse where Krishna is a glorification of Krishna. He says, alas, how can I take shelter of one more merciful than he who gave the position of she-mother to when she came to poison him, unfaithfully, to poison him, Putana. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that actually it says that this is the standard of the character of Krishna. He says that he will look for the least qualification of the devotee, and he will he will give the highest reward. This, and then Prabhupada writes, this is the standard of his character. So this is Krishna. What to speak of Mahaprabhu? And this is, we're hearing so much about the pastime of Jagaya Madai. I was hearing this, reading Caitanya-caritamrta, and there is this pastime where Satyaraj Khan is asking Mahaprabhu. He's saying, I'm a householder, I'm a materialistic man. He says, how can I make progress? How can I advance in Krishna consciousness? And then Lord Chaitanya, he said, chant the holy name, and whenever you get the opportunity, serve the devotees. And then Satyaraj Khan, he said, how can I recognize a devotee? Tilak. And Lord Chaitanya, what was Lord Chaitanya's response? Anyone who is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a devotee. Anyone. He didn't say Uttama Bhakti or, he said anyone who is chanting the holy name. And then he went on, well, it's a nice discussion. It's not related so much to this in one sense, but then he asked there, Mukunda Dasa was there, and then he asked, he said, who is the father, you or Raghunandanam? Yeah? And then Mukunda Dasa, he said, actually, Raghunandan is the father. Raghunandan was his biological son. But you know the story, right? That, anyway, I won't go into that one. It's a beautiful story. But that Raghunandan was the source of his devotion. So actually, he's the father. And then it's described there that actually, he says, Lord Chaitanya, he was very happy with this understanding, with the response. And he said that he went on praising the devotees like if he had 5 mouths, praising the devotees. Mukunda, all one by one. So this is Krishna. We're here in Poshanam. That Krishna appreciates the service of the devotees. Now, Krishna is unlimited. Who are we in front of Krishna? Yeah, when nothing. So, how important is for us to appreciate the devotees? Do you think it's important? It's actually one of the fastest ways to make spiritual advancement, right? Because Krishna says, well, so many quotes are there, that, like when Lord Shiva asked Parvati, what is the highest form of worship? And she said, actually, the highest form of worship is Lord Vishnu. But even higher than that is the worship of the devotees of Vishnu. Krishna says, he who is my devotee is not my devotee, but he who is the devotee of my devotee, he's my devotee. So it's something I keep forgetting. So I'm preaching to myself today. I'm actually trying to learn these things, but it's very important. Because, sometimes it seems like spiritual life gets a little dry, I remember one time that, maybe it was here, it was definitely in the dam, and I was praying in front of the Lord, like usual prayers, please help me to become your servant and make my devotional service steady and my faith. And no response. It was so dry, and I was going on for, I have been going like this for about a week or something, And then it just clicked. It just clicked, this thing. I think maybe someone told me or something, but it was a turning point that I changed the prayer, for help me to become your devotee, help me to become faithful to you. I said, help me to become a devotee of your devotee. Help me to become the servant of your devotees. The whole thing changed immediately. So, this theme of appreciating, why is it important to appreciate? Because what happens when we appreciate devotees? How do we feel? Generally, we feel very enlivened. For me, I have a very critical mind, unfortunately. That's why I'm preaching to myself. When I find someone who I really like, I feel very inspired, I'm thinking, and I start to meditate on his qualities. I am associating with the devotees, with those qualities. And through that association, I am actually becoming purified, because I am developing the desire to have those qualities. It's just like, and it's a service, because if you choose to also praise those devotees verbally, you are encouraging them. And those who are hearing them also, you praising the devotees, they are also becoming enthused and encouraged and inspired. I remember before I came to Mayapur, I was serving in the Scottish temple. We didn't have so many festivals there. I remember my favorite festival was always Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja. And I thought that it was because Prabhupada. So I wasn't exposed to other Vyasa Pujas. So that's why I thought it was the best. I was just Prabhupada. But then after I came to Mayapur, and I have been exposed to, Bhakti-tirtha Swami's Vyasa Puja, Gaur-Govinda Swami's Vyasa Puja, Siddhar Swami's Vyasa Puja, I realized that all these festivals are my favorite. They're most favorite. Why? Because people are praising the devotees. and they're expressing their hearts. And it's such an uplifting experience. You see, every time that these festivals are taking place, when the kirtan comes, everything is so light, because the devotees are praising. So, yet, what happens is what? The mind, right? The mind is so easy to do the opposite, right? To criticize, for just small things. So, it is in one sense a tapasya that we have to make an effort, because to praise the great devotees is easy, but we should learn to actually praise all the devotees. Find the good qualities in every devotee, and then we feel automatically inspired. Like I was saying to you, when I was feeling dry, I'm sure I was just meditating. Oh, these things are going on here, and politics, and this and that, and it just brings you down. But actually, when you begin to see, and this is the point, that what is the standard of Krishna? He says, anyone who is chanting the holy name. Prabhupada wrote, he says that anyone who comes to this movement is no ordinary. He's an extraordinary person. Whoever he is, whatever platform he is. And Prabhupada is writing here in the purport, that he says, that Daksha and Lord Brahmā and Lord Shiva, they are not on the same platform, but for Krishna, from the point of view of service, they're equal. They're equal because they are doing service. They have done some service. And Krishna will never forget that. So, therefore, this is the need for us to also to appreciate devotees, is because it's the cure for the root cause of us being in the material world. What is the root cause of us being in the material world? Anyone? Envy, Envy. It's like someone else is getting some mercy, someone else is getting some appreciation, okay, even. And it's like some feeling there. It's only me. I am the only envious person here in the room. It's like, these feelings are there. Not all the time, thank God, but they're there. And what is the opposite? When we hear the praises, when it's so many pastimes there in Caitanya-caritamrta as well. Lord Chaitanya is praising Sanatana Goswami. Lord Chaitanya is praising Haridas Thakur. Lord Chaitanya is praising Kim Prataparudra. He's giving the mercy to Kim Prataparudra. Are the devotees saying, well, he's just a materialistic man, We have renounced, we are sannyasis, we are brahmacharis. And he's praising, he's giving the mercy to Kim Prataparudra. He's not saying, they're happy to see that the devotees are being praised. That Kim Prataparudra is getting the mercy. So this is a sign that we're making progress in Krishna consciousness. We're becoming free from the tendency to criticize. We're becoming free from the tendency to find fault. We are actually looking, like Prabhupada said, look for the good. And I was thinking myself, well, do we want praise ourselves? Yeah? Do we want appreciation? How do we respond when we are being praised? Right? Because here Daksha is being praised. So how do we respond when praise is given to us? What should be? Should we be looking for praise or honor? Transferring it to Krishna? Nice, yeah, very good. Two good points. That when praise comes to us, we should be thinking that actually, like Prabhuji said, that I'm always afraid to say this word in English because my Spanish accent, but it's borrowed plumes. Is that how you say? Borrowed plumes. Yeah. I use these feathers. I used this analogy like 15 years ago in the class, and the devotees were laughing for months because I thought I said borrowed plums, So I never used it until to this day. Borrowed plums. They are given by Krishna. Whatever talents, whatever characteristics, whatever good things being praised on us, they've been given to us by Krishna. And as you said, actually, whatever good is, whatever is being said about us, we should be thinking that actually I'm not having these qualities, but I should be working to develop these qualities. I should be actually trying to develop these qualities. And we should also feel encouraged. And I was thinking myself, do I need appreciation? I said, yes. I need appreciation. I'm a human being, I have emotions, I have feelings, We're not looking for it. We're not looking for, because I don't know, I didn't have time. I was going to look for the words, the meaning words, is it but I think there is a difference between appreciation and honor, We're not looking for honor, but when someone appreciates our service, we feel that actually, okay, my efforts are bringing some good result. I'm making, this is pleasing to the devotees. But honor is different. Like Raghunath Das Goswami in his Manasiksha, he's saying that, the desire for honor is like a low-born prostitute who wants to eat dog meat. The desire for honor, pratishta, is the worst of all. Is this from this anartha, all other anarthas sprout. That we want to be recognized, how good I am. And why a low-class prostitute? Because he says that. Why? Because he says fame is compared to stool. Fame is compared to stool. And and he's saying that as far as this low-class prostitute is dancing in my heart, how will the pristine love, divine love for Radha and Krishna will enter? How will he enter? You have to give up this desire for honor. And then he's also saying that he says, I'm just paraphrasing, I don't know the verses, maybe you know the verses, but he says, how much longer will I bathe in the urine of the ass called pride? And he says that, and what is this pride? This pride is that I know it, and I know what the standard of devotional service is, and I am criticizing other devotees. I am seeing how their devotional service is not good enough. And I am thinking that by pointing these things out, I am becoming very elevated. So I am bathing, thinking that I'm becoming purified by pointing out, you see how this is not proper? You see how this is not? But actually I'm bathing in the urine of what is the most, insignificant, ignorant animal, right? The ass. So in the urine of the ass, I'm bathing in that. How much longer will I bathe in that? But it's so easy, isn't it, to get into this type of bathing? And at least for me, right? We think that, you see this. Yet, at the same time, there are times where we have to point things out because, we are, it's a preaching movement, and we're like doctors. So the doctor has sometimes to point out the disease. But what is the spirit of the doctor? The doctor will not say, well, I cannot say what's wrong with you because, I cannot say criticism. No, he will see, okay, this is wrong. But what will be his mood? It's compassion. It's actually that the mood is that we want to benefit the person. We want to benefit the world. And we want to benefit ourselves. And even that, you have to be so careful. Unless you have actually a relationship with the person. It's not much use, You make the experiment. I mean, sure, you've done it anyway. Of, dwelling in the bad qualities of someone or trying to bring out the good. What is the feeling, no? So therefore, and then he says, as far as pride is there, this is from Manasiksha, okay. And then he's saying that, then when lust, he's comparing this envy, this lust, he's comparing them to like high street robbers, like dacoits. In Vrindavan, sometimes you go from Vrindavan to Govardhan when it's dark in the rickshaw, and then dacoits stop. direction. And then what can you do? Give them everything, otherwise they will kill you. But actually he says, there is one thing you can do. When high-state robbers come, he says you have to call out for the police. Help, help, help. But because of this pride, when lust and envy come, I cannot call out. I cannot call out. Because in my consciousness, I'm not in the mood of taking shelter. And then they take over. This lust, envy. So what is the way to overcome these sins? The greatest enemy is when we have this mood of humility and this mood of appreciation for other devotees, for whatever little thing they're doing, and feelings of incompetence, that what can I do? Shimvatam sakata Krishna punya shavana kirtana vidyantasto hyabhadrane vidunoti suritsatam. He says that Krishna, who is the benefactor of the truthful devotee, as a super soul, he cleanses the heart. Vidunoti suritsatam. Cleanses the heart from the desire for material enjoyment, from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages. And how do we develop the urge to hear his messages? Susrusho shadadhanasya vasudeva kataruchi syammahat sevaya vitra punya tirtha nishevanat. By rendering, By rendering service to the pure devotee, one gains the affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So again, is the key point, from the beginning to end, service to the devotees. And Prabhupada explains in one of those purposes, one of those two verses, that devotional service begins by service to the devotees. And sometimes we may not have the opportunity to do service to them, like maybe in this community. Sometimes but we can praise them. We can be well wishers of all the devotees. And then when you act like this, then what happens is what? It comes back. And you feel uplifted also. I have experienced this in my own spiritual life. And so much goes on in the subtle world, in the mind. Maybe there is not so much exchange, physical, but you feel sometimes the body's attitudes towards you and you towards them. And then you feel, oh, this person seems to be... And then you begin to praise them in your own mind. This happened to me last year. Something happened to me like 2 or 3 years back, and he's not here now, but it wasn't the body from here. It happened that someone put in the forum that they wanted some software program, and he signed at the bottom, Vraj Vilas Das. Okay? So I wrote back, said, I have the software, I'll give it to you tomorrow. I was kind of happy, in the mood of service this person. So the next morning, Vraj Vilas, the TOVP fundraiser, Mangalarti, he comes to me out of the blue and he gives me a big hug, out of the blue, no reason for it. And he had not done it before. So anyway, I thought that it was because I was going to give him the software, Later on in the afternoon, the Vraj Vilas who actually had written this comes to me for the software. It was someone else, But in my mind, I thought, because... something in the subtle world, tell me what it is otherwise. A law goes on there. You praise the devotees in your heart, and their attitudes change towards you. It's like this. And it's not only because, it's because the super soul is there. And this is for me, this is what Krishna consciousness is. It's like, Krishna consciousness means that you have to change yourself internally. That's what it says. It's a change of heart. It's not changing the externals. It's not what type of kurta you're wearing or how you put your, what type of sika you have, or you cover your hair, you don't cover your hair. These things is your heart. What is in your heart, And then when you change your heart, the whole world changes. When you become Krishna conscious, you're promoted to the spiritual world. Like I was sitting, when Bhakti-tirtha Swami was leaving this planet, he was saying that, he was saying to Radhana Swami, he says, can you feel that we are already in the spiritual world. We're already in Goloka. And Radhana Swami was saying, I don't feel anything. No, and you see, we are here already, we made it. Krishna Katha, his heart was going. Yeah? And he was to me like an exemplar of this spirit of giving mercy to everyone despite their qualification. Prabhupada had that mood also of being inclusive. It's not exclusive, it's inclusive. Sometimes we get into this exclusive spirit. It's not Prabhupada's mood. Prabhupada's mood was inclusive. So many pastimes are there where he extended his mercy. I was reading this, My Glorious Master, maybe, Purijan Prabhu's biography, appreciation of Prabhupada. And he went to Hong Kong, and he was there. Somehow he got wrong association from other devotees in the movement, and he got a little bit into Maya, along with his wife. And then Prabhupada came, and Prabhupada immediately chastised him. Okay, so it's not that it's all praise; it's also chastisement, but with the mood of spirit, with the spirit of help. But at one point, he said that Prabhupada was giving them darshan, and Burijan Prabhu went in. And Jagatarini Mataji, she was so embarrassed, she didn't even want to go inside. And Prabhupada gave them a ring, gave her a ring, his own ring. He gave it to her. At the moment, she was, in Maya. Later on, one devotee told Burijan Prabhu that when Prabhupada left London for Hong Kong, this devotee had told, where are you going? So I'm going to Hong Kong. He said, Burijan is there, he's in Maya. He said, yes, I know. I'm just going to save them. You see? So this is what is going to actually uproot this envy from our hearts, that we become the well-wisher of the devotees. That we become really someone who wants to help other people. And this is why the previous verse, and again, so many points in this section actually, I'm just scratching the surface, but that then, what is Krishna's, we're saying he's partial, okay? He's partial to his devotee. He's impartial. He's impartial within being partial. Okay, he's partial to everyone, but whoever in the service. And what is the best way to gain Krishna's favor? Yaidam paramanguhyam madbhakte svavidasyati bhaktim mayim parankritva mam evaisyate asamsayaha. Says, those who preach my glories, those who preach this message to the devotees, they are the most dear. And there will not be anyone more dear to me. So, this is like a mandate for all the members of ISKCON that, we have to develop this spirit, this missionary spirit of, spreading Krishna consciousness in whichever little way we can. It's always some way to spread Krishna consciousness. Chant Hare Krishna, serve the devotees, praise the devotees, and preach to the fallen. That's the formula Prabhupada is giving us. So we have had so much like dose of nourishment through the last few months in Mayapur. Some of us are leaving now. Some of you are staying here. But, whatever situation we may be in, we have to be thinking of the suffering of other people, what we haven't given. Appreciate that actually, where will I be? And, this thing about appreciating other devotees, changing that, I was thinking this is also the platform or the route to forgive. You cannot forgive devotees unless you appreciate them for something, at least at my experience. You have to, the way to turn that in there, and I have experienced this. I was deeply hurt by a very, very senior person in the movement, deeply hurt. And it took me a few years to recover. But the way I recovered, it was by appreciating him. And finally I went to his project, and I was so overwhelmed by the place. I wrote to him and I said, Maharaj, I have held this grudge against you for so long. But just seeing this place, I can see that this is a reflection, a manifestation of your heart. So please forgive me for this. He replied back and said, on the platform of service to Prabhupada, there is no difference. Certainly I didn't have any grudge against you. But this praising the devotees, so important. And because forgiveness, keep the heart cleansed of grudges. So important. And ultimately, when we're preaching to the non-devotees, what we're doing, we're extending that mercy. We're not considering who is fit, who isn't fit. This is the point also that, in terms of partiality, that, and I just look for the quotes. It's a side point, but it's there also that the devotee doesn't make distinctions between friend and enemies. It's so many quotes. Prabhupada, Prahlad Maharaj. Of course, we may not be on that platform there, but how do we come to that platform? It's by preaching. By preaching, by giving Krishna, educating people in Krishna consciousness, no matter what. Otherwise, if we are making distinctions between friend and enemies, we are acting on the material platform. It's born of material conditioning. So, I'll read the verse again. Lord Brahmā, Lord Śiva, the Manus, all the other demigods in the higher planetary systems, and you prajāpatis, who are increasing the population, are working for the benefit of all living entities. Thus, your expansions of my marginal energy are incarnations of my various qualities. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So I went over time. This is changed now. It's a new message here. So now it starts at 8 and finish at 8:45. So class is finished now. Whenever you can leave if you want. Whoever wants to stay, you can answer. Yeah. Prabhu.
Thank you very much for the wonderful class.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the wonderful class. I was wondering, what was the source of that analogy, where I believe you were comparing it to the pride that comes from thinking oneself to be more erudite or more qualified than other
devotees. Yeah, Manasiksha.
That's Manasiksha,
yeah.
Okay. That was great.
It's paraphrasing a little bit. Okay, it's not quite, but...
Yeah. I was also thinking as you were speaking that just as we're warned about the danger of criticizing sadhu ninda, faultful devotee, the danger of that is that we absorb their negative qualities. So I was thinking the converse is also true. If we're glorifying and
exactly
appreciation for another Vaishnava's fine qualities, then we appreciate it, right? Because even in the material world, if you buy, say I bought a camera 10 years ago, I paid $1,300 for it.
Yeah.
And I just tried to sell it, and I got $130 for it. So things depreciate, but when we appreciate other Vaishnavas, we also appreciate in the process.
Correct. Yes. I was thinking myself about when I came to Krishna consciousness, that, okay, I came through a book, right? Someone gave me a book. Books are the basis. But for me, the turning point was when I met the devotees, and particularly those particularly nice devotees. I remember Tribhuvan. I didn't speak English. I was going to the temple. I couldn't understand what was being said. I just felt that it was nice. And Tribhuvanath Prabhu came and gave a class. I didn't understand one single word of the class, not one word. But he was hammering the Mridanga and he was speaking with so much enthusiasm, with his jaw and his vein here, and it was he was putting so much energy into it, and I could see he was, he meant it, I went back home and I said to my friends, I'm joining the Hare Krishna movement. Didn't know what it was. And then, then so many Indradina Swami came and so many devotees came, and they were all different also. There was no this, they were all the same. Everyone was completely different. Through the appreciation, then I became inspired. And I just remember, I'll finish with one story, which I wanted because I think it's important, this point of mercy. It was 96, Prabhupada Centennial, Vyasa Puja, okay? I arrived in England from Spain on the actual, the Vyasa Puja was during the week, but they were celebrating it on Sunday in Leicester, in England. So I arrived in Leicester on Sunday afternoon. I ran to the temple, arrived in the temple, and then they're gonna do Abhishek for Prabhupada's Murti. Very important day, needless to say, 1996, centennial year, 108 types of water. And there are 2 drunkards in the temple. I mean, drunk, full. And I was, get them out of here, who are they here? Why are they disturbing here? They should not be here. I didn't say anything because I was, new, but I was boiling in my heart, let's get them out, But somehow or other, the devotees kind of tolerated them. And then they came to bathe Prabhupada with the conch. One of them stood up and fell. That's how drunk he was. He couldn't, but somehow or other, the devotees there were really nice, And they allowed them to bathe Prabhupada with the conch. I was there. I had to give the conch to one of them, actually, and I was thinking to myself, it was, as soon as they finished doing the bathing, they became completely sober. Completely sober. And during the prasadam, they were all speaking about their habit and how they could not give it up. How they could not give up their habit, Prabhupada gave them the mercy there on the spot. It was, and I was, sometimes people say, you should not lead these people. But what the thing, I was still totally Maya, at the time, long hair and everything. And but I could appreciate, Prabhupada gave them the mercy. And this is what Prabhupada is saying in the purpose again and again and again. He's saying that, what is he saying? He says that the lowest person can become the most perfect devotee. The lowest. This is the potency of the holy name. And this is why we're hearing these Hansaguhya prayers right after the pastime of Ajamil. It's a glorification of the holy name. And what is the glorification of the holy name? It's the potency of the holy name. Anyone, no matter who they are, no matter what material qualification or disqualification they have, they can become perfect by coming in touch with this. And all we need to do ourselves is become agents of mercy. Agents of mercy. That's all. Prabhupada accepted their service, drunk people, and purified them. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki. Thank you for your kindness.